This is it. I don't remember. It's been so long. I think I remember how to start. Well, this is episode 337. After 2 weeks off, we're back. Episode 337, No Laugh Track Podcast. Justin Severson. I am here at Acme because it's Acme's podcast. I'm here with my guest, Anthony DeVito. Second time here on the podcast for Anthony. Thank you for coming over today.
Of course, man. Yeah, last time was a great time.
That was September 2017.
Yeah, great memory. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, yep, because I looked it up and then wrote it down. So, yeah, thank
right.
you. Thank you very much. Episode 265, to be precise. I listened back to it because that's what I do a lot when I'm about to talk to somebody again. I listen back to it.
Sure.
And I give it a minus. No, it was great. It was a great episode.
What's the scale?
We go from A+ to A-.
Oh, so you gave it an A- or you just gave it A-?
Wait a minute, that makes no sense. So let's see. That week, I was just about to go on a trip to Denver, which turned out to be fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. I haven't been back since, but that trip was incredible. And you, let's see, it was your album had been out for a while. We talked about you doing Colbert. Mm-hmm. And what follow-up thing I want to talk to you about, first thing here, is one of the things you said at that point is that you had not watched back either your half hour on Comedy Central or your appearance on Colbert.
Yeah.
Have you watched either since then, a year and a half later?
Yeah, I've had to for reasons of either putting parts of the Colbert clip up somewhere else.
Okay.
So I've had to suffer through that. The Colbert one, it didn't really bother me that much.
Good.
I think enough time had passed, and I've never looked at the YouTube comments.
Okay.
So I was pleasantly surprised by the Colbert set. The half hour, on the other hand, it's still unbearable to me.
Still a half hour too long for you?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes too long. yeah. That one, I've had to use jokes from it just to post on Instagram, so I've had to, but it's a rough one because the crowd was a little tight in general, and then just visually watching it, I look greasy.
What?
I don't know what it is. And maybe it's a thing where when you see stuff in yourself that other people clearly aren't seeing. But I can't get out of my head how much I look like Gary Delabate from the Howard Stern show on the half hour for some reason. I don't think I look like him ever, but in the half hour, I'm a spitting image of Baba Booey for 20 minutes on Comedy Central, and I just look so greasy.
The least someone could have done is yelled that out during your set.
Yeah, I mean, I really look like his child. It's insane.
Now you're making me think that you actually did read the comments, and that was number one.
No, I didn't. I
mean, greasy good Gary.
I don't even know if that's in there. I'm sure it is. I was harsher on myself than probably most YouTubers have been watching that thing.
Well, that's good then, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, I've had to sit through that a little bit.
Okay.
But I don't like it.
Fair enough. Have there been any other television things in this time that you've been away from Minneapolis?
I don't think so, because because the last time I was here, we were talking about it, that I was doing Sam Morrill's and I's sports show on Madison Square Garden.
In New York there?
So that was kind of like the only TV thing that I was doing. But in terms of stand-up, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because then I did that, and then I wrote on Michelle Wolf's Netflix show, The Break. So there was a lot of writing stuff, so I wasn't so focused on getting back on television with stand-up.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, we definitely want to talk about that Michelle Wolf thing. Well, let's talk about that right now.
Sure.
So how did you know her from working with her?
A lot of bribery.
Yeah.
No, I know Michelle from, she started later than I did.
After you?
Yeah, she started after me, which is fine. It's fine. Everyone, their own pace. But yeah, so I know Michelle since then. So, I know her as hosting an open mic in Manhattan at 11 o'clock, and she's just my goofy friend.
Sure.
And then, she just became incredibly famous. She was going to do a show on
Correspondence
Netflix.
Dinner came first before the TV show,
No,
right?
the Correspondence Dinner came... the TV show came first.
It did.
It didn't air yet, but the TV show, her getting the show came first, and then the Correspondence Dinner happened. So, yeah, it was, a show like any other where you submit a packet, and, based on your packet, you end up working on the show or not. But it helps, I would say, if a good friend of yours is the person who has chosen her name. I'm not saying that's she's not going to just hire a friend. She wants to have a successful show more than she just wants to have a good time in a writer's room.
Right.
So yeah, it just kind of worked out.
What kind of stuff were you entering in a packet to get a job writing for Michelle Wolf's Netflix show?
So I think, if I can remember, it was maybe 2 pages of kind of monologue jokes based on topics that they wanted us to write about. And then
pop culture,
political, sports. I think there were maybe 10 topics, and you could pick and choose whatever you felt compelled to write about on those topics.
Sure.
I was lucky enough that Michelle's also a sports fan, and I have a background in that, and I have a passion for that. And I think at the time it was free agency, so there was just a lot for me to write about.
Sure.
So that worked in my favor. And then so there was 2 pages of monologue jokes from what I can remember, and then maybe 4 ideas for desk segments or in studio segments, and then 1 sketch.
Okay.
So it was kind of involved, but the monologue stuff, that was my forte, and then I put together whatever sketch I put together, and then the desk segments were what they were.
Sure. And then you said you attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner that she and helped write.
Helped write. I mean, I probably got a tag on there, man. I didn't get much on there. Michelle wrote most of that.
Okay. Is that always the way you've been telling that story, or
no? That's the truth.
Okay.
I would tell you honestly. Whatever.
I had 4. No, I had 3. I had a tag.
No. I probably had a tag.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I submitted a lot, but politics, they're not really.
That's what I want to know.
My strong suit.
Have they ever been?
No.
What has your interest ever been in politics?
None really whatsoever. I just find it to be incredibly boring. Because I like sports, and then politics is like boring sports. So it's why would I watch 2 senators debate on C-SPAN when I could watch Kawhi and Giannis play against each other?
Yeah.
They're a lot more exciting than Orrin Hatch and Elizabeth Warren to me. So
he can't dunk.
Yeah, he can't dunk. She plays terrible defense. So I didn't really have that. I don't have
when that comes
much
up,
interest in that.
She gets. I mean, if somebody comes to her and somehow that job forms, and then well, hey, you want to help me with this? Why?
Kind of. I mean, she had done her HBO special, and that got a lot of fanfare, as it should have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible special. So then she got a lot of notoriety from that, and I think Netflix approached her about doing a show, or vice versa. I don't know, kind of the ins and outs of how that went.
Sure.
But so then she gets that, and then she needs writers for the show. So through. I think this was emailed probably through my agent, but, she probably was make sure, Anthony gets this packet to submit. So a bunch of people submitted, and that was it. Was that your question? I forget if I've answered it.
Yeah, but more specifically for the Correspondents' Dinner. When you get asked to help with that. I mean, what are you bringing? What sort of? Who am I making?
What am I bringing to the table?
Who am I supposed to make? Am I making fun of people? Am I making fun of policy? What am I doing?
Yeah,
here?
I did not know. I didn't understand. I did not know how to write for that at first, because you would just email her joke after joke after joke after joke, and in the beginning she kind of had a blueprint of what she wanted to do. So maybe I would do some punch up on what stuff she already had, and then if I had any outside angles, I would throw them in. I wasn't really well versed in terms of knowing specific people to make fun of and how to make fun of them and what to make fun of them for. So for me, it was a lot of tertiary, just physical stuff, because I didn't know about their policies.
So you're just Googling them, seeing their picture.
Yeah,
going,
I was I don't know. I think Kellyanne Conway kind of looks like this.
Right.
But then Michelle would be I can't make fun of anyone's appearance. That's not. But that's all I knew. So, and then there would be kind of thoughtful ideas about politics, but that also isn't the point of. It's a roast.
Yeah.
And I'm not. My natural inclination isn't to write roast jokes, so I didn't know how to write for it. But luckily, Michelle's so skilled on that on her own, and then the other writers did know that, so they could give her jokes that I think were appropriate for the speech.
So you were there the night of when she was performing that?
There the night of.
How close were you to all the action?
So it's kind of funny because, I mean, all the writers, they sit the writers at their own table. And, like, it's clearly a fuck you for writing this thing because the table is behind the stage. We can't see anything. So, yeah, I mean, we're in the room.
Perfect.
And it's funny because, like, at first I was going into it with all this excitement just because it was such just a foreign place to be. And you know when you're a fish out of water, you're like, oh, anything goes. This is going to be a blast. Like, in my head all week, I was like, I'm going to do body shots off Wolf Blitzer. This is going to be wild, kind of thing. And
I'm going to end up in this hotel room.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, man.
I'm going to see if Wolf is on his driver's license.
Yeah. I'm going to rob a liquor store with Don Lemon. Like, just kind of those things, right? So I was all excited. But then you get there, and you're in a room with these people, and you're like, oh, God, you guys are the people that are ruining the country. Mm-hmm. I hate you guys.
Yeah.
So the feeling goes from, like, effervescent fun to, like, full-hearted, like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be too upset if a bomb goes off in this room. Like, it'd be all right.
The front of the room.
Yeah, I would. I mean,
not behind the stage.
If I could not be affected, if I am, fine. But it'd be great for my mother if I didn't die tonight.
Right. I'm gonna get that tattoo with Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing because there was the correspondence dinner. So we're there 2 days, and the night before there is this party, and most of the people that are going to attend the dinner are going to this party, and you know it's a free for all kind of party. It's put on by an agency, so there's some actors that are there.
Oh, sure.
There's media that's there. There's journalists there. We're all there. So it's a good time. But then like Kellyanne Conway showed up, and it was like Beyonce came to the party. There were all this paparazzi around her, and I like it turned my stomach because I was like, she is destroying America, and you guys are treating her like she's Kate Middleton. This is insane.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I just got smashed that night. I mean, I was hammered. I was just walking up to old white men, and I would be like, look, I voted for you, and I think what you're doing in the 14th district is great. And, like, politicians, they're always on in that regard. So they would always be like, thank you very much for that. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Like, they would never say, like, who are you? They're always like, oh, I have to know this person. I don't know. This could be the whoever owns Venmo's son. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I got to just be nice to him.
Yeah.
So like they're so you can kind of get away with just saying whatever you wanted to these people.
Love it. Which
I was like having a great time doing. And then there was a guy, and like this is my knowledge of politics is so small. There was a guy that I thought was, you remember that guy Rob Blagojevich?
Yeah,
he was like a senator from Illinois, super corrupt, or mayor of Chicago, something like that, right? So there was a guy, and I was like convinced it was him. So I was screaming at him the whole night, and I'm hammered, and I would just yell at him from across the dance floor, and I would be like, Blagojevich, you son of a bitch. and I think at some point he was like terrified of me because I was like wide-eyed, finger pointing, my tie is off, you know. I look like I'm on a boat, you know, I'm just swaying. And then I think somebody at some point was like, that is not Rob Blagojevich.
He's in prison, man.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, he's in prison. You got to stop yelling at this guy. You're scaring the shit out of him. but so that part, I was having a great time being basically whatever like a teenager would do in that situation, you know?
It's funny you say that because when you said, I just thought I should make fun of their appearance, talk about a teenager reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very like that's the only tools I had in my arsenal to write jokes about. Because like otherwise I had to like Wikipedia Scott Pruitt. I didn't know who that guy was, you know? So I'm basically going off of like, I don't know, he's got a long chin. Can we do something with that? So then the next night, the Correspondence Dinner. And it was interesting to watch because like at first she started off, she was killing because she was just going on about Trump. And the people there, the media, so they were like, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be a Trump slaughterfest. We're going to love it. Yeah. And then when she made that turn on the media, holding them accountable for them kind of creating this monster, they turned quick. They were like, she's our hero. And then she was like, she's kind of mean, right, everybody? And they just could not hold themselves accountable for what they did.
So the night of, did you guys know, you had a feeling of what the reaction was?
Not really.
No?
Like it just, because I had seen other ones. I mean, I loved Colbert's and, you know, it's not a great gig. It's a terrible gig because
Trump wasn't there, right?
He wasn't there.
Yeah,
he wasn't there. But I just thought it was an uncomfortable set. But it's always going to be an uncomfortable set. You're roasting the people in front of you, and these people they're not comedians, so they're not going to know how to take it.
Right.
So I really didn't think much of it. And Michelle's so smart. She's so careful about not talking about anybody's appearance. So that she couldn't get in trouble for those things. So that's why I was like, oh, I think she got away scot-free. I think it's really going to look great for her because these were great jokes, and she kind of took these angles that I don't think a lot of people were going to. But I did not know that it was going to take this turn where it's like Michelle Wolf is the devil, because we were writing the Netflix show at the time. So the next day, that was a correspondence dinner was Saturday. We took a train back from D.C. Sunday. We're all having a great time, laughing on the train, the whole thing. We're like, this is surreal. This isn't bananas. So then Monday, we were doing test shows. So for those shows, we would get a series of setups from research to write monologue jokes off of those setups. Okay. Right? So usually they would be whatever the news of the day is. So the news of the day that day was Michelle. So it's like we're writing.
I'm so glad you're saying
so
this.
we're literally in the writer's room, and she would read through all the monologue jokes that we would write for the day, pick out the one she liked, see what got laughs in the room. All the jokes were about her.
Wow.
So every setup, Michelle would be like, comedian Michelle Wolf says this thing.
Wow. Talk about surreal.
Super surreal, man.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a really odd thing, and for me, I'm like, this is just my friend, who's now a trending topic on Twitter.
I mean, you must, like, that next day, were you ever in front of a TV with her and like CNN or Fox News is showing and like,
yeah, dude,
holy shit, we're watching the reaction live on TV?
I would go,
that must just be nuts.
It was nuts, man, because I'd go into her office as I normally would to just bullshit with her because it's just a friend of mine.
Sure.
And then flowers would come in the room and like people would be like, oh, these are from Rachel Maddow. So it was. Wow. I mean, we were just laughing. That Monday was so crazy because we were still writing a show in the midst of all this.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was super insane, man.
Crazy.
But yeah, the correspondence dinner itself, it's like the food sucks. Everybody else's speech is boring. Everybody there works for some kind of like military magazine. Like the networking that's going on there is unlike most other places. Because people don't know what you do, but you're there, so they think you're important. So I would just be there, and people will be like, "What do you do?" I'd be like, "I'm a comedy writer." I'd be like, "What do you do?" And they'd be like, I sell magazine parts to the Saudis or like whatever those things are." I'm like, cool, dude. Right. Like, yeah.
Shipping and receiving? Huh? Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It was a trip for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who did the last one? Do you remember?
They stopped having comedians.
They did, didn't they?
It was some author. They're not going to have comedians anymore because of what happened, which is so ridiculous.
Wow.
Because if she really, the worst thing she said was, I mean, she made fun of Mitch McConnell's neck, and nobody cared about that. But the Sarah Sanders smoky eye thing was about how she spreads lies. It wasn't about. She said nothing wrong about the smoky eye. She just said she has it. Yeah. Like that's just how she does her makeup. And people, that was the shitty part. People were like, she's calling her ugly. It's like, no, you called her ugly.
Yeah.
She wasn't saying that at all. You're like, she's fat. Like Michelle never mentioned that.
Smoky eyes is just a great term. On its own, right? Smoky eyes. It's mysterious. Very mysterious. Lot has happened since I did this podcast last, as I said 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Had two headliners here at Acme that sold out a lot of shows.
You guys have had some weeks, man.
A lot of sellouts. We had a Kentucky Derby happen. Game of Thrones has been going on. Avengers. Tim Conway passed away the other day.
Who's Tim Conway?
The comedy legend, Tim Conway.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. I didn't know him.
That's so interesting. You don't know who the name doesn't ring a bell?
I'm sure if you showed me
Carol
the work.
Burnett.
See, that's the thing. There's a period in comedy which going back to Carol Burnett, I would say that I just don't know a lot about. And it would be Carol Burnett, the Tim Conways, whatever it is.
Oh, my dad asked me the other day. He's like, he's like, oh, Tim Conway passed away. He's like, were you a fan of his? And I said, I know that he existed.
Yeah.
and I think he did some Disney movies when I was a kid. But besides Dorf on Golf, remember that thing, Dorf?
No,
it was you're a little bit younger than me, but not that much. It was
36.
Dorf was a character where it was so. When I described it, you'd be like, "Oh my God, it's ridiculous." It was they sold him on TV VHS tapes of Tim Conway as Dorf, and he would let's say where we are, he could do the character here if there were holes in the floor.
Okay,
because it was basically him standing on his knees, and that was the
joke. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that was the best when you could just do that, and that's like you're like a millionaire. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you could get in comedy, if you can get in on the ground floor, then you didn't have to do much.
No.
Now it's got to be, most topics have been hit. You got to find a fresh angle on them. Back then, man, you could just be a fake football player, and it's like you're in movies. That's what I miss is the amount of occupational comedians that were in the 80s. You know, like just so many guys that were like, that's Mike the janitor, and he's just going to talk about mopping the floors and his nagging wife for an hour.
Right.
And that guy has a 4-picture deal with Paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was I kind of miss that doesn't exist as much anymore.
I love it. Oh, one other thing.
Sure.
He also did the voice of Barnacle Boy on SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, okay. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There we got and you connect. And I'm going to ask this, has nothing to do with comedy, but I asked I asked the last 3 guests I did on here,
sure,
and all of them couldn't care less. Game of Thrones.
No, I'm a giant fan.
Are you?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm a huge fan.
You're the first in a month that gives a shit about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and everyone's very, very mad about this season. I don't know. I think it's great. I've been very entertained. I've been very moved. I find it to be very emotionally compelling.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People make their points, and I hear them out, and they seem like good points. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a thing today that someone's getting a petition going to redo this final season.
I heard that there's going to be a Kickstarter, and it's like, it's so dumb. It's not going to happen. And also, too, that's like the Kickstarter you're going with right now. I'm not a big, all these other things are happening, but it's like, it does seem like all, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, like, put that up against like whatever, Haiti or Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Alabama.
I'm sure they're like, we don't need power. Make sure we didn't like how Jon Snow was this season. Well, sorry, we haven't been able to watch because we can't turn anything on. Right, Alabama, like all that abortion shit. It's just like, I don't know. Daenerys has gone rogue and we don't like it. It's like, shut up.
I liked sweet Daenerys. This is bullshit.
It's so stupid. And it's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
You no amount of money that you're going to put in where HBO is going to be like, we hear you and we're going to do a whole new season.
Right.
It's retarded.
No, the only thing that my only complaint is that it's going to be done. I don't want it to be done.
Yeah, same. I don't want it to be done, and I feel like it's going to be tough to resolve all these things within another hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Or 2 hours, or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll say, too, what I like, the Game of Thrones Veep back-to-back was perfect television.
Oh, I see. I don't want
to me.
Veep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Veep is, I might be the funniest show of the last 10 years or something like that.
I
Veep
hear
does
that
an
all the time.
amazing thing in terms of they are so... I guess, non-politically correct, and they're allowed to be because they're all in the world of politics. So you already assume these people are evil, so then when they say things that are inherently evil, you're like, of course, and they can get away with it.
Yeah.
If it was something else, you'd be like, ooh, that was... you can't say that, you know what I mean? That I have issues, but when it's like, I don't know, Secretary General that's saying it, you're like, I assume that's a bad person.
Right.
So, well, of course they'd say that shit. They've done like a genius thing. But
That's a good endorsement for Veep coming from someone who we just have talked about is not really into politics.
Yeah, but they handle it in a way that I'm like, I think from someone who's very ignorant about politics and is very skeptical of it would be like, oh, that's how I imagine it to be, so it plays out perfect as to what's in my head.
Yeah.
But Game of Thrones Veep back-to-back was great because Game of Thrones is so emotional. At least I find it to be, and I get so overwhelmed by it that Veep is a perfect palate cleanser for that.
Okay.
So now it's just Chernobyl, and that's it's not a laugh riot.
No,
turns out.
I'm familiar with that. I haven't delved in yet.
It's great. I mean, girlfriend and I watched a couple episodes. Great acting, but you're like, Jesus Christ.
And now here's the toughest question I'm going to hit you with.
Sure.
Do you pay for HBO or do you steal somebody else's password?
Steal. I don't know where from. I have no idea.
What would happen if your computer reset? Would you know the password?
No, not at all. I've done it. It's happened, and I'm like, well, I can't use HBO Go now. But luckily, on our TV, it stays for whatever reason, so we're good. But it's happened on the computer and iPad where I'm like, well, that's that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And as someone who, you must have got a paycheck from Netflix when you were doing the writing there.
Yeah.
Is there a do you get a Netflix? Did you already have Netflix? Did they give it to you?
I already had Netflix. They didn't give us free accounts or anything like that. They paid us in money. They were good about it.
There was enough to pay for you.
Yeah, they're doing well enough where they could pay me a little bit.
All right, fair enough. That's good. I'm happy to hear that. I'm a Netflix fan. I want to know that they're paying out at least $16 a month.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we had a pretty good subscriber month, so we're gonna pay you. They are. It's interesting to work on something like that, though, because that was my first writer's room, like, real comedy job.
Yeah.
Sam and I's sports show. There was Sam, myself, Stavros, Halkias writing a show, basically just riffing over the phone to each other. You know what I mean? Joke. So it was pretty loose. This was a real structured sort of a show, Michelle show. But Netflix, since it's digital, they can work around pay scale, where there's a minimum you have to hit for working on like a network television show, but because Netflix exists in this strange space, they can actually pay you a little bit less because it's technically digital. Which isn't that? Yeah, I know. And you're like, Netflix, really? Like, you guys aren't doing all right, I guess?
That's interesting that they can do that. And then but then YouTube, people are freaking making a killing because they can throw their own ads in there.
Yes. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
But that's what's cool. I like where comedy's headed in terms of this more DIY approach actually paying off.
That is a perfect time for us to then now talk about your podcast and the fact you guys do Patreon now.
Yeah, we started doing Patreon. We've been doing our podcast for like 6 or 7 years. It had always been inconsistent. We took a summer off. This was totally my fault. When Greg and I, Greg Stone, who I do the podcast with, because we both worked on The Break, Michelle's show.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, we're taking a summer break, not realizing that we have these Patreon subscribers who are like, well, I pay $5 a month for you guys to do episodes.
No, you did not.
Yeah, it was a dick move, and I just didn't see it. You know what I mean? I would have never done that purposely. I just didn't see.
So
that.
They're getting $5 taken out of their account every month.
They were.
Okay.
But then, I didn't think we ever saw that you could make money off a podcast, and not that we're doing extremely well now. We're doing okay, but so we would the podcast was sporadic. People loved it who were into it. We had a great time doing it because it was totally uncompromised.
Yeah.
But then I think at some point after the show ended, we got serious about being like, oh, we're going to do an episode's going to come out every Tuesday. We're going to do a Patreon episode that also comes out on a Thursday. So since then, it's been a really, in terms of comedic experiences, it's been like the most pure to me. So now we have video. We got like a full operation.
The video is only for people.
No, the video's on YouTube for anyone. Anyone can watch the regular episode
for the bonus
on YouTube.
Eps.
But for the bonus eps, we do video, and that's available through Patreon. And then the normal video comes the Patreon video or the normal video, comes out early for Patreon subscribers.
Has anyone done the 100 per month?
No one's done the 100 per month. I think we send full nudes, right?
It says, What are you, a doctor?
Yeah, Greg wrote that.
100 per month. One of the dudes will send you nudes if you sponsor for $100. It's not happening?
That hasn't happened yet.
And do you know who would be sending the nudes?
I think Brendan would. You'd want Brendan to be sending the nudes. I don't think anyone's asking for my or Greg's body.
Well, I'll tell you. I just listened to you on. I don't remember if it was your podcast or a different one I listened to you on, and there was 5 minutes of body hair talk.
That could have been the Rad Dude cast. It's a pretty freewheeling operation. There's no. You're not going to get anything intelligible from that podcast.
Adam Ruins Everything was the guest on the most
Conover did it last week.
Yeah,
good guy, man.
I listened to that one. It was good.
He's a great dude. He's someone Just known him from doing open mics forever, and then he got a show, True TV. I think his show is phenomenal. I think it's super inventive, and really, really, it's just like nothing I've seen really on television before.
Hey, so your first set is tonight this week.
First
right? You did not work last night. So when I called, when I was texting to one of the managers at the club here this week, like, hey, are we confirmed to do a podcast and which day? And I knew that you weren't starting until Thursday. I thought, well, we're probably going to have to do it Friday. And no,
right.
He came in town a day early.
Yeah.
Thursday's good. Why'd you come in town a day early?
Well, they had me come in town a day, I think, to do press.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it's nice. Like I was saying, my girlfriend's family. She has some family that lives in Minnesota, and we've been dating for 5.5, 6 years as it is. So they've become my family as well. So they last time I was here, they came out to every show. It'd be a different family member at each show.
Oh, wow.
So, which is great, but I can't really hang out with them. You know what I mean? I talk for an hour and they listen, and then we go our separate ways.
Sure.
That's not like quality time. So it was nice to have the night yesterday to, actually we went out to dinner. We had a couple drinks. It was a very enjoyable time.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
So if you weren't doing the podcast with me today, which I really appreciate, let's just throw out all media. What would you be doing today?
Let's see. I mean, I woke up. I got work done. I wrote stand up. So then right now I'd probably just be eating lunch. I mean, and I think I'm going to try to go to the sculpture garden today, and I'll probably just walk around. I mean, that's my favorite thing to do on the road, especially in like a city like this where there's a ton to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll probably just walk around for the day. I might hit the gym later. Maybe take a nap. I don't know.
Nap. There you go.
Yeah.
Put that number one. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of naps.
Yeah, they're great.
In my research, I saw that you were I saw a Reddit interview you did with somebody from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, yeah,
Is that where you were
Lincoln,
last week?
Nebraska last weekend. Yeah, it was a fun time.
First time, right?
First time, and I was very excited because I don't know. I get excited to be in any capital city in a state, and Lincoln was super cool. I didn't realize that it was pretty much where I was and where the club was in the University of Nebraska campus.
Yeah, I know nothing.
Super adjacent to it.
Okay.
So that was great because I grew up a college football fan, so to see the stadium, Tom Osborne, Tommy Frazier, like all those guys. Yeah, so yeah, it was really, really fun. Nebraska, I had a great time, man.
Okay, yeah, I had to get your reaction to a first visit to.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the crowds were great. Like it was funny because you could see clear as day. And I'm not super divisive as a comic. I lean left, but you could see people in the crowd who are just like, okay, you're clear as day. That's as right as you could get. You know what I mean? Like America T-shirt, big eagle on it. Make America Great hat again. Where I'm like, this could be trouble.
Okay.
But they were great. They were super like, we'll take the hits and we'll be fine with it.
Kohl's, the department store Kohl's.
I do.
They sell. I don't know why. I'm giving a little advertisement for Kohl's.
Yeah,
no,
I wonder where we're headed here.
Are you a fan of Kohl's Cash? No. The shirts with the eagles on them. I have 3 in my collection that are I wear completely ironically.
You're wearing an eagle shirt right now.
Oh no, this is.
That's
actually.
Is that a hawk?
This is probably a raven. This is
like
a
raven.
artist rendition Game of Thrones T-shirt.
The three-eyed raven.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
From a website T Fury from a few years ago. This shirt's like 3 years old.
Gotcha. But you have a couple Eagle shirts.
I love America. Mm-hmm. God bless America. However,
who doesn't?
Right. However,
number one, baby.
I have 3 over-the-top obnoxious shirts that I paid $5 for from Kohl's. No, 2 of them were $5. One was $2.50. $2.50.
Yeah.
And I fucking love those shirts.
Yeah.
And I wear them completely ironically.
Right.
Yeah. So they exist. I don't have a MAGA hat to go with it. But,
yeah, I can't imagine this guy. If he was being ironic, that's a full commitment.
Right, yeah.
He committed with the goatee, body type. He did it all.
That's too far. That's too far. That's way too far. Did you... Jeez, I just turned the light on my camera here. Or my phone, did you see the story about... Ahmed doing comedy? You know who that is, right? He was doing comedy over the weekend and got the cops called. A guy called the cops about stuff he was talking about on stage.
He called the cops?
They thought he was...
How do you call that in?
I'm going to read some of this. I printed there. I have this on my iPad here. Comedian Ahmed describes what happened during a show at Off the Hook Comedy Club.
Naples.
So have you worked there? No.
I think I'm there in December or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to cut this out? No, I'm kidding.
No.
He was there just on May 10th.
Okay.
When you were in Nebraska, he was in Florida. And his performance Saturday prompted a man who attended to call 911 the next day. The next day.
Oh, the next day. He waited. How much of an emergency is it then?
Good point, right? He was too impatient to look up the non-emergency number. Just patch me through. You want to take this or put me through? Whatever. He called 911 the next day to complain about the comedian asking how many Middle Eastern people were attending.
Oh, my God.
He says, after the show...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. After the show, he says, I was shaking everybody's hand and thanked them and did a meet and greet. My point is, terrorists don't do meet and greets. We don't say, death to America, but can we take a selfie first? I wear skinny jeans and a T-shirt on stage. Terrorists don't do that.
Yeah, terrorists also don't do comedy.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, right.
That's just, I mean...
Yeah, name one funny terrorist.
Yeah, look, I've watched all their YouTube videos, and, ISIS's broad material about marriage is horrendous.
You want to talk about offensive?
You know when you're chopping head off, and...
So we got... The 911 call, the man begins. This is the quote. They have the audio. This is it transcribed. There was a comedian whose name was Ahmed. The name is Middle Eastern. The first thing he said when he got on the stage was, how many Middle Eastern people do we have here? And a whole bunch of people raised their hand. And he said, where are you from? I'm from Iraq. I'm from Iraq. I'm from Pakistan. I'm from here. I'm from there. He said, that's great. We could organize our own little terrorist organization.
Yeah.
I don't think that was right, and that really bothered me.
Yeah, you don't think he was making a joke? You don't think you went to a comedy club? You think he was really like, I'm going to take this time to organize everybody.
Wow. Right?
Now that I got you here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now that's insane. Yeah. Well, that gives me some hope going into my December shows there.
I love the response from the emergency dispatcher. Sir, I can understand that. I can understand that in this environment. And I yelled, yeah, and the paddy wagon is going to be outside to get all of you. What?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, it's like if you're a 911, it's like, well, how do you feel that phone? It's like, I don't even know where to point you in the direction of to make this call. It's like, I don't know, call your other racist friend. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not the person you should call. And I don't know anywhere else you should go. There was, when I used to work at the Apple store, people kind of, they wouldn't do that. But I used to work the phones like a little bit, customer services. One time,
worst jobs are in.
It's horrible, man. One time this lady called in. It was an old lady, and she just goes, my computer fell on my head. I don't know what to do. And it was just like,
pick it up.
Yeah. Where? Did you mean to call the hospital? What is this about?
Right.
Oh, so funny.
She's okay. Was the computer okay? Or was she okay?
Everything was fine, I think.
I'm sure. Oh, I got to end this little thing about Ahmed.
Sure.
They're actually inviting him back to do another show.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. They're offering the caller 2 free tickets to May 22nd show. They're bringing him back.
Oh, the caller himself. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? That's a weird thing.
If the guy who made the call is reading this article or listening to this podcast, I'd like to offer you 2 tickets to the show and give him a big old jolly American hug. I'll even buy him a shot. Terrorists don't buy people shots.
Oh, I guess that is kind of sweet. You know what I mean? Maybe that is the move. At first, I was like, why do you want this guy in the crowd? Yeah, but it's a nice thing. Yeah. Good for him.
And honestly, it's good pub for Ahmed.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially when you offer the tickets. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's a solid move.
Hey, Adam Ray, a comedian, was here a couple weeks ago, and he played in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game this year.
Oh, cool. Man.
Would that not be a dream come true for you?
That would be a dream come true. That would, yes. If comedy could deliver that, I can't think of any other thing I'd really want.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be incredible. Yeah. Oh, my God.
He explained how he somehow became friends with Silver, the commissioner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I met him once.
You did?
Yeah.
Why didn't you drop drop a little hint?
Man, we should have done that.
Little dribbling, spin a ball, do something.
Yeah. Grab the nearest ball. Look at me, Adam. No, we were at Sam and I. MSG hooked us up with kind of courtside ballerish tickets to Celtics Knicks game maybe a couple of years ago, and we got to go to the wherever the box seat people go, eating food. There's all kind of celebrities around. Like Action Bronson's there. Rakim is there. What's his name that was in that movie Baby Driver? Ansel Elgort. So you got all these famous people there. Sam and I are there. We're like, this is wild that we're here. This is cool. And then Adam Silver was there because it was a TNT game, and this is back before Porzingis got hurt, and so this is a big game. And Sam and I were so starstruck. I didn't care about all those other people. I was like, that's Adam Silver. And then we met him. I shook his hand, and he kind of grazed my arm in a way that I was like, "I'm Silver, you flirting with me?" A little bit, man. Yeah. And he's a tall dude.
Really?
Yeah, he's been likened to Slender Man in terms of appearance, and when you see him, you're like, he's a dead ringer. But he is a tall dude, and he's super skinny, so it even elongates him more.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, man. Oh, that's so cool that he got to play in the All-Star game. And he became friends with Adam Silver? Mm-hmm. How does that happen?
He explained. It was at some other NBA function.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That would be the coolest, man. Some of those guys, you watch those games, and you're like, damn, I think one of the guys from Migos was like, you're very good.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He was MVP a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Baller.
I was watching some it was like an old Netflix documentary last night about AAU basketball, and they were just showing clips of the rapper The Game. Remember him years ago?
Yeah.
And they were showing clips of him in the Drew League, and I was like, this guy's great. I was really impressed.
What's the tonight? For example, I have old man drinking league softball.
Okay.
That I'm going to play.
Right.
What's the most? And it's not athletic, really. At
yeah,
all.
I understand.
What's the quote unquote most athletic thing you're doing these days?
I'll play similar, we've been trying to work out with a personal trainer once a week. A friend of ours comes to my girlfriend and I's apartment, and she'll work us out. We got a little backyard. It's interesting when you work out with a friend because you can just stop them whenever. She'll be like, "Do another set," and we're like, "Fuck off, Maura." No, we're not. I'm not trying to impress you. I don't care.
Right.
So it's pretty great.
These aren't OTAs. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter to me.
Coach isn't cracking a whip.
Yep.
Here. Right on. Looking over my notes here, I don't want to miss anything that we've talked about. Last night, I had a first world problem. Put a load of wet clothes in the dryer.
Okay.
It was on for 3 minutes, and I heard this boom. And I run upstairs, and it's still making noise, but it's no longer spinning.
So what happened?
I looked up a YouTube video, took the top off, and a belt broke.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And that was you just put the belt in the dryer and it just broke?
No. The belt that makes the drum.
That's how much
inside
I know about stuff.
Inside.
Belts can break?
Yeah. A rubber belt.
A thing broke.
There.
Is that dangerous?
I think if we would not have been home and that just kept running and not spinning, who knows what that could have led to. I know when I opened the door, it was so fucking hot.
Okay. So are you a pretty handy guy? Does that freak you out or anything?
I pretend like I can fix things like that.
You seem like a guy who could fix some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. YouTube videos has helped me for the first time.
Yeah,
now I'm going to buy the
man.
belt and try to replace it.
Yeah, I like a low pressure house maintenance-y kind of job. It makes me feel like a man for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm also like, it's not enough where this is out of my comfort zone. I think I can pull it off.
Yeah.
I had to hang art the other day in our apartment, and the fact that I got it done, I was so proud of myself.
Level?
Yeah, use the level, but then level, and then every time the level was off, so I just eyeballed it.
Fuck this eyeball.
Yeah,
this level's broken.
yeah.
I can see straight.
Yeah.
I love it. Are you? Are you selling? Did you bring your album along? Do you sell anything after the shows?
Yeah, I brought Comedy Central hooked me up with all these download cards.
Cards?
Yeah, that give. They look like tiny paintings. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're just little. I never know sizes, but they're baseball cardy size cards. And the artist that did the cover for my album, when it's on that little card, it kind of it just looks like a miniature painting.
Oh, really?
So I put up a little easel and I do a whole presentation. But yeah, I bought them, and it gives you iTunes link.
Sure.
I sell them for like $10. It's a case if I remember, I'll say it, but sometimes I forget.
What have you ever had when you're not the headliner? Have you ever had a headliner say, "I don't want you"? I've been seeing this on, like, Adam Newman said something about a few weeks ago on Twitter about when he's like, "Fuck a headliner that tells somebody opening for him not to sell stuff."
Do whatever you want.
Have you ever experienced that?
I don't think so. I've heard stories about it. I've never experienced it, but it's like, yeah, look, I'm the headliner, and if they don't want to buy whatever I did, then then I didn't do my job. Unless it's other extenuating circumstances, and if they want to buy something from you, that's great, man. You did really well then. Yeah. So no, I don't have any problems with that whatsoever.
Yeah, good.
It's always a weird transition because you do like almost an hour or so of jokes, and then for 2 minutes you have to turn into a salesman and then go right back into jokes. So I try to make it that part be over as quick as possible and throw in a joke that I think is funny within the sales pitch and get right back into stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
What you mentioned Apple Store, was that your last job before full-time comedy?
Yeah. It was
non-comedy job.
Yes, it was that kind of. I got this comedy job while I was working at the Apple Store, and at the time the job paid well enough to kind of float me to not have to go back to having a day job until I became a full-time stand-up.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. How much do you have on the books for the rest of the year?
I think it's pretty decent. So I got my own stuff, and then I'll open for Michelle on the road. So both those things kind of keep me busy. And then like some stuff, like I'm doing the Montreal, actually, I'm not supposed to talk about this yet, but sorry.
We can cut that out.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fine. I barely mentioned it. It's okay. But so a good amount is on the books. It's been nice because when I was working on the show, we didn't know if it was going to get brought back, so I couldn't really book road stuff because then I would have had to cancel those weekends. So when we found out that it wasn't, then I was able to really work the road again.
Okay.
But stand up, that's my favorite thing to do in comedy.
Hey, when you found out that the Michelle Wolf show wasn't coming back, did you find out? Was it an awkward way to find out? Like, did you see it on Twitter first before somebody called you?
Yeah. She texted us basically being like, it's not coming back. And I think however Netflix handled that was handled really wrongly.
Oh.
But I don't remember. I think writers, not myself, but other writers were finding out on Twitter before they found out from our showrunner and stuff like that. So however Netflix handled that was really, really badly.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Did
you see... I don't think we've even talked about it. But we did the first time we were here. You're originally from New Jersey.
Yep.
Yeah. There's somebody, one of these list places on the internet put out this list within the last week about sexy accents. Did you see this?
No.
And it was like I have some of it saved here. This is one of the last things I want to bring up to your attention here. But
for sure.
So it was the top. I don't know how many did they do here. 50.
Okay.
They're not all just like states. They're
right.
regional. Okay?
Gotcha.
So like 50th on this list is Long Islander. Right?
Oh, really?
People from Long Island,
yeah.
It says, might be a bit upset with being voted having America's least sexiest accent. So where do you think New Jersey is?
I bet New Jersey is like... see, that's rough because then if Long Island's 50, it doesn't bode well for the Jersey accent.
Well, how about, guys, should I tell you, before you answer that, okay, so if that was 50, number one is Texan.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Wow, I would have said, I love a southern, like a Georgia southern accent.
Sure.
I think that's probably my favorite. All right, so I would say Jersey maybe is number 8.
49.
God damn it. Oh, you bastard. You set me up when you did that Texas thing.
I did.
Oh, man.
It says 49th, New Jersey. North Jerseyan? Think coffee and drop the R's.
Yeah.
South Jerseyan, it's more like the Philly accent, but not close enough to bring up Jersey's overall sex appeal.
Oh, Philly's accent's so sexy. You're out of your mind. Philly's is way worse than a North Jersey accent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever Bam Margera talk? It's disgusting.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, in full disclosure here, coming in.
Where's Minnesota?
Coming in at 48.
Yeah, I could see that.
For real.
I can't, yeah, man.
Minnesota, 48.
Yeah, the Minnesota accent. I was in I was in Edmonton like a month ago, and I was doing a show as a comedy club in a mall. During the day I would just get high and walk around the mall all day. That's what I did every day. And then it was whoever runs the Mall of America. They
same
made
guy.
Same
Rick Bronson.
Right.
Yeah.
But whoever made the mall. That's what I mean.
Oh, it is the same company as well. The Carmesian Brothers or something like that.
Yeah. Some kind of slick name. They made the West Edmonton Mall. So I would walk in. I get high and I'd walk into every store, really explore the mall. And I was in a sex shop, one of them in the mall, and then there's.
We don't have that.
Oh, in the Mall of America?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, they have one in Edmonton.
Okay.
They're looser up there,
you
know? So I'm there, and I overheard this like Canadian couple talking about bondage, and it was like the most like Canadian, you know what I mean? Like she was like, oh, I think that would hurt me, Mary. And it was like, I don't know about that, Doug. And I tried that riff on stage, and I was like, I was doing well with all these just like mall riffs, and I did that one, and everyone in the crowd was like, well, that's just how we talk, so I don't know why that's so funny. And I was like, oh, right.
You dick.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm an asshole, man. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, why is he making fun of us?
Yeah, it's right. I'm like, oh, right. It's not funny to you.
Oh, hey, dear, where do you think I'm going to stick that?
Yeah, it was so hard not to laugh.
Oh, that's so great. Do they have a pot's legal up there now? Do they have pot shops in
They do.
in their mall?
There wasn't one in the mall, but there were ones around, and that definitely makes it an easier stay, especially if you're doing like Canada in the winter. It definitely,
I imagine so.
It makes your weekend a lot easier.
Yeah, and then you come to Minnesota and have to find a hookup.
No, I really don't think about it. In a place like Minneapolis, it's like the furthest thing from my mind, just because there's other things to do.
Right on. Right on. My wife's friend is using, the CBD is everywhere now.
Yeah.
Right? My wife's friend is using it for some, joint pain or something.
Sure.
And she was apparently complaining to my wife last night that she's like, it's expensive and it seemed to be working, but my husband keeps using it, and we're like, does he not know that it's not
right?
He's not getting high.
Yeah. Does
he think he's getting high?
Yeah. My husband keeps using it and listening to music and being like, I think I hear it different.
Right.
Yeah.
He's all into Pink Floyd and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what? You're doing it wrong. Is there sports gambling in New York these days?
I'm not sure. I've never been much of a gambler.
Not your thing?
Not my thing. I don't know. It always was too anxiety inducing for me.
Sure.
The game itself is already exciting enough to throw in money just as too much.
Yeah.
Because then also too, it's like I don't want to have my life affected by like Malcolm Brogdon. You know what I mean? Where then I'm like, that shouldn't. It just
the
shouldn't
last
be a
guy
thing.
on the bench, like that type of thing.
Yeah, or just like in general, for me to have like animosity towards him, to be like, you're the reason. You're the reason I can't pay my rent. It's why? It's stupid.
Yeah, he was trying.
Yeah,
he wasn't trying to screw me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that I gotta be like, Kyle Lowry ruined my life, and it's like, that's just a guy trying to hit shots.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's not fair.
Mm-hmm. Did you care?
Clearly watched the Toronto-Milwaukee game last night.
Do you have any thoughts on the future of the New York Knicks?
Boy, it's dicey,
30
man.
seconds.
Yeah, it's dicey. Wasn't
it supposed to be a trade that didn't happen?
It never looks good because they're the Knicks. I mean, the fact that the history of the New York Knicks, and they're in New York, and it's maybe the most coveted city in the world, and that they can't have a successful basketball team it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, the Garden sells out every night, and they're one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst.
Yeah, just the place to be.
Yeah,
but not to watch great basketball.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They have the third pick in the draft, and free agency is looking good this year, and players have already said how they want to come to New York, and they're going to find a way to fuck it up. They're gonna.
Hey, just one more thing about when you were saying you got the sweet tickets real close to the court and everything. I was listening to Howard Stern for the last couple of weeks. He had Tracy Morgan on.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about sitting up close at the game. And
He's
Howard
right there.
And Howard was like, yeah, I look back, I'm like, I better be front row. Like, I know where my status is in celebrity world, and I'm front row. Tracy, you're front row, but do you look back and see who's sitting behind you or who maybe used to sit up close to you and now is 5 rows back?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, Tracy's front row, and he's looking back and saying crazy shit to you the whole game, and you're like, I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Well, that was Howard's thing. He's like, I'm sitting there watching you watch the game, and you're like yelling to the players.
He yells, and
they know what you're talking about, but you're using like slang.
Kinda. Yeah. He does. I mean, dude, I watched him because he's promoting something. So he was on Stephen A. Smith show maybe like last week, trying to talk about the NBA playoffs, and it was just like, Tracy, we get it. You're a passionate guy. You love New York. You love basketball, but you are out of your element here. Because they were like doing real analysis. He was like, I don't know. Like, I just think Kawhi's got big shoulders.
Yeah, right.
And you're just like, that doesn't. He's just like, broad shoulders, walk into a room, break a door.
He got like, the drip, bro.
Yeah, and you're like, so that's why they're going to win? That's the reason? That's the game plan tonight, Tracy? Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, that guy's one of the, like, he might be the most naturally funny guy of all time.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it's so cool. It is.
Anything else we should be mentioning before we wrap the ball on this?
About it.
People come buy tickets to come see your shows?
Yeah, come out this weekend. I mean, this is one of my favorite clubs in the whole entire country, and come out. These are great shows. Support a great club.
Exactly. I like the way you put that. And yeah, that's it for me.
Cool, man.
Come see Anthony DeVito.
Awesome.
Boom. We're done.